Hello, my class 5 children. Welcome to your offline video class. And in our previous class, we were discussing about the factors which affect our climate. Okay, which are the factors, like the reasons that affect our climate. Okay, so why our climate is hot or why the climate of a particular place is cold, that has a few reasons. All right. So we talked about two reasons so far, isn't it? We talked about this one reason, that is, whichever place are far from the equator, they are colder. The equator or the places which are near to the equator, they receive more sunlight and that's why they are hot. And the places which are far from the equator, they receive less sunlight and that's why they are cold. We also talked about the altitude. So you have understood what altitude is? It is the height of a place from the sea level. So this mountain is very high from the sea level. Na? That is why it is colder in the mountain. So the higher the altitude of a place, the colder it is. That's why in plain areas, it is not that much cold. But as we go up to the hills, the mountains, it becomes colder and colder. Okay. So in this picture, one picture is plain land, and one picture is that of the mountainous place with mountains, okay, and highlands. So which place do you think has like more colder climate? Obviously, the mountain. So you see in the higher mountains, you can also see snow. So all this white thing here in the picture is snow. Because it is so cold in the north, it starts snowing as you go towards the height. All right. Today, we will discuss about one more reason that affects the climate. Okay. That is the distance of a place from the sea. The distance from the sea also determines the climate. How? See this picture. The place near the sea, in such places, there is always, wind breeze coming from the sea to land and going from land to sea. All right. So that is why it is always windy when you go to the sea beaches. Okay. It is always very airy. You will find that air breeze in the sea level. When we go to the sea, you will always find air. It is very airy, and that is why it is like the sea breeze and the land breeze. It keeps the temperature quite moderate. Moderate. So what is meant by moderate? Moderate means not much of anything. So moderate means not very warm climate or nor very cold climate. It is an average kind of climate, moderate climate. So near the sea, we get to see this moderate climate. All right. Why? Here you see it is given ocean and sea. They regulate the climate. They regulate the climate of the areas around them by absorbing the sun's heat. All right. So as you see, ocean is a very big water body now. We were reading about ocean in the previous chapter itself. So ocean is a very big water body and it is all covered in water. So what does it do? It absorbs the heat from the sun. It absorbs the heat. All right. Now, during the day, the land heats up faster than the sea. All right. So land, they obviously heat up faster than that of the sea. Why? Because land In land, you will find there are concrete, there are roads, there are metals. All these things become warm or become hot more than water. So do one thing. The next time your mother boils water to make tea, just stand by her and you will see that before the water starts boiling, the container or the utensil your mother is using to boil the water, that is becoming hotter much faster. Okay, so we know that land becomes hotter more quickly than that of the sea. And when the land becomes warm, the warm air goes up. The warm air goes up. The warm air does not remain down. And what happens? The colder air or the cooler air from the sea, they fill up this particular place. Okay, so here you see the air above it, that is the air above the land, becomes hot and rises up. So hot air always go up, okay, like this. So if you ever see a glass of milk, what happens in a glass of milk? The hot, what do we call it? The hot air from the glass of milk, from the glass of hot milk, the air goes up, all right? So hot air always goes up and that is filled by the cold air. So there is always a cycle, all right? So hot air going up and cold air filling in like this. There is always one cycle. Okay. Now what happens is this cold air from the sea rushes into the land to fill the vacuum. So vacuum means the gap that has been created after hot air went to the top. So this is called the sea breeze. Okay, breeze means wind itself, wind. So the air that is coming from the sea towards the land, it is called as sea breeze. Now, during the night, everything changes. So it becomes exact opposite. How you know? Because the land cools down faster than the sea. Okay. So land, it becomes warm very quickly and it also cools down very quickly. Okay. But water takes time to be warm and water also takes a lot of time to become cold again. Okay. So land cools down. So that means now the warmer water will be here in the sea. So now sea water is much more warm than that of the sea air is much more warm than that of the land. Okay. So now this is warm water or the warm air. Now this will rise and that vacuum will be filled up by the air from the land. So that is called as land breeze. So the breeze which we are getting or which the sea is getting from the land is called as land breeze. All right, children. Next. So there is another factor, one last factor that we have to understand about the change or the things that affect climate. What is it? The direction of the wind. That is, towards which side or which direction is the wind flowing. Okay. There are different types of wind, like hot wind, then cold wind, then monsoon wind, dry wind. All right. So there are different types of wind. There is one example given, that is the dry and hot winds of Rajasthan makes Delhi hot and the cold winds from Himalaya makes Delhi cold. All right. So during the summer season in Delhi, dry winds flow from Rajasthan to Delhi. And that makes the temperature or the weather of Delhi very hot. But during the winter, Delhi gets cold wind from the Himalayas, that is from the northern side. And that makes Delhi very cold. Okay. Now there are pictures, and seeing this picture, you have to tell me that which is hot wind, which is cold wind, and which is the monsoon wind. Okay, you can already see that in the first picture, it is the wind, all right, which seems very hot because this looks like a desert. And what is there in desert? There is no water, nothing, only sand. So obviously this is the hot wind. Here you see in the second picture. In second picture, there is only snow. So far you can look in the picture, it is all snow. So the wind will be cold wind, isn't it? And here you see, we have clouds here, but there is also wind in the third picture. So what is it? It is the monsoon wind, or the wind during the monsoon period or during the monsoon season. All right. So these are the various types of wind that affect the climate. Okay. Now, as I was talking about Delhi, Delhi is our capital. We know this, right? Delhi is the capital of India. So why Delhi becomes so hot during summer and so cold during the winter? Because Delhi is somewhere here. Okay. Delhi lies somewhere here. See, it is very close to the Himalayas. It is very close to the Himalayas, and it is also very close to the Rajasthan. Okay. This is our Rajasthan. All right. So Delhi is surrounded by desert on one side, the desert of Rajasthan on one side, and mountains of Himalaya on the other side. During the summer season, Delhi gets hot wind from Rajasthan, and that makes the weather of Delhi very hot. During the winter season, Delhi gets all type of cold winds from Himalayas. That makes the weather of Delhi very cold. Okay, children, I hope you have understood. If you have any question, you can note it down in your notebook and we can discuss it in the next class. Thank you so much and have a nice day ahead.